to the Trinity Force Podcast. Yo, it's that Triforce cast beaming straight to your home. Grab a beer so we know Pony drinking alone. Send an email, a quick tweet, just pick up the phone. Leave a message at the beep if you're a creep, watch your tone. Discuss the meta game, patch notes, whatever helps your stats most. Obi-Pon Kenobi is your last hope to snatch gold. So grab your headphones and join in the fun. We'll try and force in some jokes and some cringeworthy puns. Yo, we can make it together, people. Trinity Force Podcast. These boys are second to none. Now that's the end of the intro. It's time we begun.
Hey guys, welcome to Trinity Force Podcast. My name is Adam Ponophobia Cogswell, and as always, I am here to host this awesome show for you guys as we talk more about the preseason. Thus why the episode is named, Is It Still Preseason? Because it definitely is. I am joined by four great guys tonight. Punch is here.
Hey everybody.
To Claude.
Howdy.
Days.
Hey.
And Cereal Box steps in tonight for the absent Chira Jaden.
With probably less drugs in the system.
Well, I don't know. What about alcohol? How much alcohol is in your system?
Oh, a lot. I've been chugging down sunscreen too for a while too. So who knows what tonight's gonna be like?
Did you get iced before the podcast again?
Nope, I haven't found them. I'm sure there's. If I look around my room, I'm sure I'll find one in like 2 seconds if we want me to, though.
Have you laid down on your pillow yet and like landed on a lump?
Oh no, I don't sleep in a bed anymore. I sleep on the floor because I know it's safe.
You don't fall off.
He'll just walk into the room and see one in the corner right next to his pillow.
Just like nope, don't even go home anymore. Just stay at work. This is from work now. Another new location for me.
You'll get iced no matter what you try, buddy. Sorry about your luck. We are going to talk more about preseason tonight as we dive more into patch 5.22. The big changes that we have not discussed yet are the Minion changes that are coming in patch 5.33 or 2.3. Excuse me. They push those back one patch, as well as a few other changes. I think we had talked about the Home Guard stuff that is coming in patch 5.23 as well. For those of you not in the know, at 20 minutes you'll automatically get Home Guard. And I think there's actually another. Oh, you have to have tier 2 boots as well to have the Home Guard applied. But yeah, so that's that. So let's talk about the Minion changes that are going to go on to, or that are going to come live in patch 5.23. Now, I will say that numbers are probably tentative because these. Actually, you know what? The numbers, I don't think they can really tweak them. We'll go over them. So, for those of you that don't know, they're making it so the game's a little more snowbally than it is already. In that they're buffing minions damage to other minions, they're giving minions damage reduction to other minions, and other things of that nature. So first and foremost, they are minion damage bonus. If your team's average level is higher than the enemy's, your minions deal 10% bonus damage to enemy minions. If you've taken cumulatively more turrets than the enemy team, damage is further increased by 10% for each turret you have over your opponents. Do you want me to read through the rest of them before we talk about it?
Do it.
Yeah, go with deal with damage reduction, and then talk about the big ones, like the huge advantages, I think.
All right, we'll keep going. Enrage, another minion buff. If your team's average level is at least 3 higher than the enemy's, and you've taken 2 or more towers in a given lane, your minions in that lane deal 90% more damage to enemy minions. Minion damage reduction. If your team's average level is higher than the enemy's, your minions take less damage from enemy minions, equal to tower differential times level differential plus 1. The number can't fall below 1. And finally, Ironclad. If your team's average level is at least 3 higher than the enemy's, and you've taken 2 or more towers in any given lane, your minions in that lane take 7 less damage from enemy minions.
Talk about random ass hidden stats.
Right?
So if I'm watching an LCS game, I'm supposed to just keep all this stuff in mind. Like, okay, so they've taken 2 turrets in this lane, and let me average out their levels really quick. Okay, they're 3 or higher. All right, they do 90% bonus damage.
They're beating them and they have 2 turrets down, so they're probably going to have a free push in that lane. You can kind of look at it that way.
If any LCS team gets ahead by 3 average levels, their total team levels are 3 average per champion, then that game should have been over already. Especially when like Pone said, making it more snowbally, and this has already been considered the most snowbally patch in probably forever. So this is going to be real interesting to see how much they implement it, and like how much those numbers really matter. And if you get indications of it, maybe in LCS they have like a warning sign go off, like an alarm. like an alarm, and it's like it becomes MLG with all the.
I feel like we need to put something in the UI. It's just too convoluted otherwise for all this crap. But yeah, to speak on the 3 level advantage, yeah, if that happens in LCS, game is over. But game should be over rather. If that happens in solo queue, that's just an indication of a one-sided stop. I mean, think about that. Every lane has got a 3 level advantage over the opponent.
It's your average level is at least 3 higher.
Right, but I'm just saying, on average, that's everyone in the lane is 3 levels higher than their opponent.
I'm all for snowbally games. Like, I've been really excited. Like, I'm a really big early game person. Like, I love pushing lane advantages. I like being rewarded for doing well early. But I feel like this kind of takes it to a next level where if you get ahead early, you kind of can like stop playing, you know, especially in like lower level games. A big thing that you could capitalize on is that even when people got ahead, they didn't know how to close out games. And now if they have a 90% damage advantage, you're pretty much closing out the game for them, where it's almost a no-brainer. You just kind of got to sit back and do whatever. You can actually go just farm race if you want as a jungler instead of pushing a tower because your minions are going to do it now.
You can play as if you're a Baron.
Right. It almost feels as if you can just go, well, we're winning, so whatever, you know.
Well, to keep in mind, this is only damage to minions and damage from minions. Like, auto attacks from champions don't kill them any slower.
But you can be ahead in a game and still not have map pressure because you're not pushing lanes properly or you're not taking objectives properly or you can still have a level advantage. And then, like, lanes be pushing towards you. This allows the minions to just constantly push for you because they're killing the enemy minions. And then you get, like, minions automatically have a bonus attack on towers anyway. So when they're hitting towers, then they're going to be able to take them faster because now you have more minions than they do because they're there faster. I just feel like it just kind of, like, I don't know. It does the work for you. Like, you should have to like actively close out a game.
So
in my opinion.
Something I want to bring up on the numbers, because those numbers don't really mean a whole lot just looking at them. That 10% bonus damage, let's just say you've got that 1 level average higher and no turrets taken, so you've got 10% bonus damage. That's 1 bonus damage on every melee minion auto attack, 2 on casters, and 4 on siege minions before they start scaling up. Like, because they scale their attack damage over the time of the game. It's not that much, but once you start adding those, it's each turret you have over your opponent. So, like, if you have a 1 turret differential, you're now doing 20% bonus damage. 2 turret differential, 30%, it goes up, and they're taking less damage. Yeah, it seems kind of mindless then. Like Daze is saying, like you literally don't have to think about how to end the game. You just take more stuff, which means your minions push harder, which means they take more stuff, which means your minions push harder.
Right.
That's definition of more snowbally. It's not I was just looking at the stats on Baron buff. Like, it's not that crazy. Like the stats on Baron are way better than this small little thing on minions. But I don't know if I like how this is going, because it's eliminating a good bit of counterplay. But the thing I did see somebody talk about, maybe it turns into a little bit of the people who are ahead get minions pushed away from them so they can't farm as easily and they have to play a bit more aggressive. I don't know if that'll happen, because at the surface it looks like it's just a bonus for the winning team, but maybe the losing team has easier chance to farm.
Keeps it pushed to you in any given lane, so you can farm up a little bit easier, hopefully, a little safer. But what I don't like about this is that my mentality of never surrender, you know, when you're getting your butt kicked, now they're making it even harder for those other players in solo queue to hit no to surrender for me. They're just gonna be, it's pointless now. Let's just surrender.
They're gonna end the game for you, even if you convince somebody else.
Well, slow and going back to what Serial was saying with when you're ahead and you're trying to freeze the lane, it affects lane management significantly that way. But also, like, a decently good strategy, even if you're behind, is to slow push a lane. And you create a situation in which neither side can do that, because you create a slow push in a lane so that it kind of backs up, and then all of those minions hit a lane at one time, hit a tower at one time, and then someone has to deal with that while you're getting Baron, or while you're getting Dragon, or while you're kind of dealing with another objective. Well, if you're ahead, you can't do it, because if you have 90% or even 50% increased damage, those lanes and those minions are going to go down fast, and it will make it completely impossible to do it if you're behind. So when they're pushing top and bot is pushing just with regular minions, you have to send someone bot. You can't just hope that it freezes up on you long enough for you to deal with the 5 people top. It's almost adding an extra split pusher to your team. Well, it's worse than having a banner in that lane because you have to go deal with it. And all of the minions are buffed.
Maybe you can kind of finagle your own slow push by putting, if you have all those bonuses on that team, you only put 3 minions against their entire wave or something like that. You let that, but they have to be pushing that minion. You count on them killing them first. So, yeah, I see what you're saying. Then that's going to be hard to do, and they'll hit the turret. Then the turret should help even it out a little bit. But even then, it's just going to be so much pressure on whatever lane has those bonus
the only
minions.
2 for a lane that doesn't have multiple towers down are minion damage bonus and minion damage reduction, because the other 2 are based on a single lane having more towers down than the enemy. And so,
no, that doesn't. You don't need that. It doesn't have to be a tower differential.
No, for the minion damage bonus and the minion damage reduction, those are map wide. However, the other 2 are for a
single lane.
For a single lane.
Yeah, but you don't need the
Rage
advantage. You can have your turrets down and still gain those advantages because it's just that you've taken those towers,
right.
Those 2 towers. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying is two of them is just taking towers. It affects all of the minions,
right.
But the other one, let's say you combo in Rage, which is your team's average level is at least 3 higher than the enemy, and you've taken 2 or more towers, so you have the minion buff. Or not the minion, the Rift Herald buff on you, and you're already split pushing top because you're likely you're doing 10% more damage. You're likely a level ahead because you have the minion, you have the Rift Herald for reasons, and now your minions do 9% more damage to enemy minions. Yeah, they're taking the work. They're taking they're doing more damage. They're attacking more quickly. They're doing more, and they're pushing the lane faster. So it means you get up to the tower faster to get more damage on it than the enemy can respond. With that said, to go back to the point where the waves are pushing at you, if the team is 3 levels higher than you, you're likely not able to safely farm under a turret because somebody who's got a average 3 levels on you it should be able to dive you into that turret and kill you. Any game that I've seen, I've never been able to farm on the turret without taking so much poke. I've had to go back. If anybody who's had 2 or 3 levels on me.
Well, that really does depend on the champion. I mean, there's a lot of champions that can wave clear safely. And this doesn't affect, like you said earlier, this doesn't affect the damage that you could do. So those wave clears still should be able to stop this. But this also depends on what scenario you're talking about. If you're talking about where they're in rage and there's 2 towers down, then in that lane you're going to be in your base, so you're going to be much safer for a tower dive. Whereas if you're just talking about defending the inner turret, you're much more susceptible to tower dive in that scenario.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have enrage and it's not the 90%, like even 50% is significant. Your minions are killing the enemy minions twice as fast. So you're going to be in a situation, or if you're losing, then your minions are dying twice as fast. You're going to be in a situation now where you have to split. And a lot of times the best way to come back is to let someone misstep and you guys can 5v3 or something like that when they're not ready and do something like that. But you're not going to be able to do that. And if there are 5 and you have 2 waves pushing because you have this 50% buff, then you can't, there's nothing you can do about it at that point because someone has to go clear those other waves or you just lose objectives for free.
I know that we're covering a lot of the Enrage and Ironclad thing, and I, in my opinion, I don't know if this will happen yet because I haven't seen this go live. I don't think it's going to happen that much. I don't think it's going to happen unless you're talking like everyone suddenly goes to lane, dies 3 times at like early levels, then maybe, or if you're late enough in the game where the team is ahead like 15, 20 kills, like is stomping. I think that's the only time this is going to happen because 3 level higher on average is stupid and you should have already lost by then. And this is just saying you lose harder when you've already lost the game.
Right.
I think that I think the damage bonus and damage reduction, those will be very significant and interesting to see how they work. But I think that the Enraged and Ironclad are going to be so uncommon when they're playing.
I agree with that.
I agree, but I could see I've been in games where I've been down 3 towers and we've come back to win. And that alone is 30%. It's 10% for each tower. I've been down 3 towers, come back to win, and been down a level or 2 over, the enemy team. And you manage to come back because they don't close out the game and you catch someone out and you do these other things. But it's a lot harder to catch somebody out if you're constantly defending your towers, or if you aren't able to, slow push, or you aren't able to do all these other tactics that you have in your arsenal right now, because essentially Riot's helping people close out games now.
What do you think is more devastating for leaving a lane alone to push on its own and take down towers? A slow push or having these buffs? Will the towers have a cleaner job eliminating them as they trickle in?
No, towers are already taking a lot of damage on the slow push strat is put in because it takes towers very quickly because the number of minions is too large for the tower to take out quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Right, you can't do that here.
You might be able to. It just takes a little bit more finesse. It'll take more finesse or understanding where you're. It'll take a little bit of, trying that out. And one thing one thing I'm curious about is, let's say you get behind early, like they get turrets early, and you're able to farm safely though, and that kind of gets that level differential back. Like, what I'm not sure if it's saying like, if one, like, let's say everyone else is the same level except one person, and that person's higher, they at least start the buff. But if it's not, then like even if they have a bunch of turrets but your levels are the same, they don't get the bonus at all. Like that, they have to have average level higher for it to kick in the first place. So I wonder if when you are getting pushed in early, you kind of recover a little bit because you can farm safely. Maybe you get more experience than the other team, come back to that levels, and it kind of catches back up, and suddenly that advantage is gone. Maybe that I don't know who this is going to benefit. It seems,
but it still forces the enemy team to get to that lane to get that farm, to get the levels back, and hopefully, if your team is smart and knows when the buff is there, reacts to it, gets another lane hard, so it makes them have to split, and then you have the advantage. You're holding all the cards at that point. But I can see where if the minions are stomping the other minions, then they're going to trickle into the turrets and take more damage from the turrets themselves than a slow push would, where you gather them up and then boom, they hit the turret.
They're technically going to do more damage to the turret because there should be more minions hitting the turret or lasting longer to the turret because they're taking less damage and doing more damage to the enemy minions. So that wave of 6 minions...
There'll be full life minions hitting the turret.
Well, they won't be full life,
but they'll be higher than...
They'll be healthier.
They'll be healthier as they walk into it.
But not as numerous in one big punch, you know what I mean? Not a slow
like
push
in this one,
wave.
So if your turret's average level is higher than the enemies, does that mean like does it have to be a full level higher? Because if it doesn't have to be a full level, if your team's average level is higher than the enemies, your minions deal 10% more damage. It sounds like as soon as someone falls behind, the enemy team gets a 10% advantage.
Right.
So that happens early in lane. That happens early in the game. So no, that's not going to make a huge difference as to whether or not a tower goes down, but it can make a difference as to whether or not how hard you have to harass compared to how many you're level 6, for example. You're going to be harder getting level 6.
Does this hurt the roaming support? Because supports are generally a couple levels behind the team, especially LCS level supports, for example. They're usually like level 3 while the enemies are level 6 or 7, right? Does this hurt your ability to roam into the mid lane or roam through the jungle and help the jungler because you risk putting your team at a disadvantage while attempting to gain advantage? Is it a lot of risk reward here? Because I think I think that comes like, do I want to leave the lane and risk losing that experience? But at the same time, you are giving more experience to your solo laner.
Right.
So how does
it could be an advantage when you're ahead and you're trying to freeze the lane to make them stick their neck out to get farm? You're not going to be able to do that as easily if the minions are constantly pushing harder into you or into the enemy.
You always judge where your experience level is by the enemy support. So if they're able to zone out your enemy AD carry and he's not getting that extra experience, then yes, you're going to be behind. If you're ahead in lane already and you go roam, there's a lot of risk reward in that, because if you get caught out and die, if you get caught out warding or something like that, then yeah, they're gaining extra XP because everybody gets 60% XP for each minion rather than the one person getting 100%. So it's 120% potential XP compared to 100% potential XP if you only have one person in lane. So that's a huge thing. Like, you have to be really careful warding now. Like, Koreans going into the enemy jungle to ward was a big thing. If you're going to roam mid, then you kind of have to make something happen. It's no longer, oh, okay, well, I just added some pressure. They backed off a little bit. That's good enough. Because now you're having a situation where, you know, if you didn't do something and you get back to lane, then you're going to be a little bit behind.
Yeah, actually, that's a good question. Does that make Zilean more powerful because he's giving experience to your...
Zilean and runes.
Mordekaiser?
Yeah, that's a good point. The XP Quints.
I don't know if it necessarily...
Could there be a strategy worked around it? Could there be a strategy?
Yeah, there could be a strategy for it. I think in general, I don't think they're going to be overpowered, because when you're taking like an experience advantage strategy like runes, you're looking to make a play within that 30 seconds that you've got the advantage. And if within that 30 seconds they just level back up and now you're even again, like the only benefit you gain is that one extra damage and one extra damage reduction from your minions. Like your best bet to take advantage of these is like we've been saying, the snowball. So make a play during that time that you have the advantage, kill the enemy, take the turret, get an advantage that way. As
right. You got to push the turret.
Rely on the
It's
level.
so easy to gain an XP level right now, like an XP advantage. I don't think you really need the Quints to do it. If you get ahead in lane, you probably do better off with the early game Quints that are helping you actually get the kills and get zone people out and get that, than just running the XP Quints.
I actually really like the idea of the roaming support, and I was toying with this in my head for the last like couple minutes. What if you're playing a roaming support that purposely gets behind a little bit so that you at least trigger that initial bonus like early in the game, so you're not able to push, you can't push turrets that hard. And what if you're playing roaming support like Alistar or something with a gank heavy jungler, which forces let's say mid and bot to kind of push in inherently. Like your AD carry can still kind of freeze a little bit. At least keep it so it's in a good place because of that. But then they're super safe, and you and the jungler can show up to mid or bot real quick because the enemy has to be pushed in because of that experience advantage that you've given them. I wonder if that
I think that sounds
kind of
great in ranked 5s. But
yeah, it sounds like really cool there.
I was
solo
gonna
queue, no, not at all.
Yeah.
I was gonna bring up the thought of Hunter's Talisman and Hunter's Machete, and the fact that the Tooth and Nail passives on either of them give you more experience as a jungler. So is there an advantage here of possibly letting somebody fall level behind, or is it possible that you would just power farm at that point with that experience advantage in the jungle and give your laners the increased damage on the minions because you are now ahead? Because as long as the average is, if there's like a level 11 and 4 10s and the enemy team is 4 10s, you have a level, or 5 10s, there's a level advantage there.
Is that one level advantage worth not having lane presence?
I mean,
I wouldn't think so.
It's more of get the level advantage, and again, you have to push your 45-second advantage or whatever you may have.
But you're making your lanes easier bait for the enemy jungler because they're going to have to be pushed out towards the enemy turret more because the minions are inherently doing more damage pushing the lane. It's harder for them to freeze it in a safer spot, and it makes them a little bit juicier.
Yeah,
the towers give way too much experience and stuff right now. Nobody's freezing.
I wonder if I think that the first thought for these changes is going to be kind of like how I think the initial masteries went. When people started playing the initial Keystone Masteries, they were going, I can see how the offensive ones work. I think people will see immediately how the pushing side of things can work, but maybe not see if there's a defensive side yet. I think that'll take a little while for it to set in. So I think that when this first kicks in, I think it's going to be tons of people being like, oh my gosh, this game's so crazy now that everyone can push harder. But I think over time, if you see the pro players start doing it in LCS games or ranked 5 teams start to figure it out, I think that they might be able to take advantage of the opposite. And it might shift how that meta works. But initially, totally going to be push heavy, snowball even harder.
Well, what about remove?
Yeah, and not necessarily freezing. You still want to kill the minion when it's at the lowest amount of health. You're not just going to sit there auto-attacking all the minions at level 1.
Okay, so I'm a jungler. I invade, and I can at least take the enemy buff. Let's say I take the enemy red, and they're not smart enough to double buff me by taking my red or something. I've put the enemy jungler behind. Now he has to spend his time catching up, and he doesn't have as much gank pressure as you have, so you can use that advantage to help push down a tower, get some extra damage push. I think there's some strategy there with the counter jungling and specifically taking those large minions away from the enemy because it gives you a larger advantage.
Yeah, but then you have to optimize is probably the best way to gain that level advantage.
Probably.
It'll be really funny it'll be really funny if counter jungling comes back immediately after they take away the jungle item made for counter jungling.
Right. I like the idea of counter jungling to get a jungle level advantage. I don't really like the idea of like just power farming your own jungle unless that's what your champion is made to do. Like there are some champions who are always going to do that and you can't get away from it. But the problem with if you're going to power farm your jungle is you run the risk of, yeah, you may gain a level on the enemy jungler, but now your lane is behind, and like let's say they ganked bot lane, and now your bot lane is they're both down one level. Well, then your level doesn't mean anything because now your bot lane is behind. So I like the whole counter jungling strategy. I don't like just sitting in your jungle trying to farm because that puts way too much pressure on your lanes that they have to stay at least even.
Yeah, it'd be more like Adam's scenario of stealing the red buff as early to get a really quick advantage, and then going back in, and you have an advantage already. You don't have to sit in your jungle to power farm.
I could see Nunu making a comeback with this, and then using the W buff on a tri lane or whatever it is to push out
the ultimate counter jungler.
Yeah, because Nunu could easily clear an enemy jungle before he makes it over there, especially early game. You can start red and basically clear his entire side, and but that's all based on player skill as well, because if the player doesn't recognize that, or the player does recognize that and goes into your jungle to take him stuff. I mean, a lot of this is all dependent on the player's skill, understanding how to use the damage to your advantage and how to counter jungle properly. So we're talking a lot of if, ands, and whats. I mean, it's what everyone's been saying this entire conversation.
Someone said in chat, it also lets a star player do more in solo queue if you destroy a solo lane and build up multiple level advantages that can help your lane pressure. There's a lot of times when a solo lane or even like a duo bot lane, they let it push on purpose. So if let's say your mid laner snowballs and now you get that extra, he has a 2-level advantage or whatever, and you guys are pushing, you don't necessarily want that extra 10% damage because you want to be able to stay under tower and just farm there. And although I guess 10% isn't too bad, you just have to, people would have to relearn lane management. And you have to pay more attention to what levels your teams are because, if you needed 6 minions before to freeze, now you may need only 5, or now you may need only 4, or the opposite if they have the 10%. That's a lot of math to be doing in game and a lot of lane management. The people, honestly, until you get into like high diamond, still haven't mastered in terms of like actual lane management.
Bouncing the turret.
I'm curious. There has to be some kind of buff or something that happens on the minions. I don't think Riot would do it, but I'd kind of like to see like a level up buff or like a little thing appear over their heads or something so that they have the 10% increased damage. So
or maybe like the bounty thing next to like their...
Oh, next to their portrait?
Next to their, yeah. Or, just their little health bar, like a little indication.
That'd be way more subtle than like seeing a level up and then like the opposing bot lane hits level 2 right after you, and then the minions do it again. Like they lose
right.
You just see that back and forth for a while. I think that'd be cool with the bounty indicators. Like that seems to be what they're going for, is a bit more subtlety but more information that you can see easily. I love the bounty indicator thing. That's really, really clever.
Well, speaking of indicators, I mean, I don't want to stifle anyone's discussion. Does anyone have any more to say on these minions?
I was
not until I see numbers.
The gold stuff.
Excuse me. We'll wrap back around to it because I don't want to forget this idea. Has anyone been using the ward deaths, the little ward death bodies that they have in the game now?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been using those to your advantage and found those helpful? Because I have not found those helpful yet.
Honestly, I found when Riot last year released the maps of where everybody warded, I found those more helpful than in game, because in game you have such little time to process what's going on. And a lot of it seems to be the same indication and the same information over and over. People tend to put the wards in the same spots. And once you reach a certain level in terms of like elo, people know the best places to put your wards, and they tend to put them in those places all the time. But that being said, I have found it helpful to figure out what teams are warding well and what teams are kind of slacking on their warding. And then you can kind of take advantage of it more.
Is it more useful early when you know how many wards they have and how fast they can put them down? And you see one in there, you can assume, okay, that ward died and they probably don't have another one to put there because I saw what they started with.
Well, usually by the time one dies, you know that they have one either up or coming up soon. So not so much. I just use it more to figure out if people are warding or if they're not warding at all.
I think it's helpful if you're moving through the river to see where they're warding in the river in between lanes. But it's usually pretty easy to keep track of where and what your lane opponent is warding.
Right, because they disappear. You have a general idea and things like that.
You can keep tags on the inventory. Mm-hmm. But if you're ever trying to gank in between lanes, then you can see, oh, there's a dead ward there. Probably another one up. They probably see me. I should get a sweeper or a pink ward or whatever.
I should sweep this location, likely.
Okay, that was my curious because that was my question because I haven't. I'm in the days camp where I saw one image 3 seasons ago where to ward, and then I used that to my advantage to understand where people are warding now because everybody's pretty much putting the wards in the same spot all the time. So seeing those little pieces don't really help. Let's wrap back around to the minion life then. Because Punch, you wanted to talk about that. Do you want to lead that discussion? Or gold, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so they changed the initial gold value that minions give and the gold growth stat. I just wanted to see where they grew even, and it's actually much later than I originally thought. So for melee minions, they increased the gold value by 1.5, so it's now 20 gold per kill, and the gold growth was decreased from 0.17 per minute to 0.125. Caster minions been increased to 17 gold, again decreased to 0.125. Siege minions increased to 45 gold, decreased to 0.35 gold per minute. So these come even at melee minions 33 minutes, caster minions 71 minutes, and siege minions 109 minutes. So overall, you're getting a lot more gold out of the minions, especially the casters and the siege minions.
Well, you're only getting a third. Well, you're getting a ninth of the siege. Wait, are siege minions every 3 waves still?
They didn't change that, did they?
Yeah, they didn't change.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I'm just making sure. So you're still getting like 1/9 of the impact of that siege minion one, compared to caster. Because casters, I think, is the big one.
Oh yeah,
because you're getting an extra 3 gold at start, whereas you're getting an extra per caster minion, whereas you're getting another extra 8 gold per siege minion. So you're talking about, if you last hit, that's 27 per 3 waves versus 8. I think it's gigantic for caster minions, not so much. Siege is cool. I love that it's so late that it breaks even.
Yeah, that surprised me.
But it's not super big, and I think that's why. I don't know. I guess they had to make it like a.
And the casters are going to give you gold pretty much all game. It's not very often that you go beyond 70 minutes.
70 minutes? I could probably count in my 2 hands the number of times I've seen 70-minute games.
The thing to remember about the siege minion one, though?
It's even later than that.
You said 114 minutes or something, didn't you?
109.
There it is.
Yeah, but that's just... I mean, that's not even counting the gold growth on the initial gold value. See, this is why I don't do math, because I screw everything up. The point is, it takes a very long time before these gold values actually even out.
Yeah,
now everybody's trying to figure it out.
I should have I'm like, why am I on Excel right now? And then I just tried to Google Excel as though that was going to bring me to it instead of going into Drive and actually making a sheet.
Here's the thing that you need to remember about the siege minions is that it vastly affects your supports who are running Relic Shield.
That's true.
Yeah. That's a good point.
But you know what? To be honest, though, that does kind of even out a little bit because, well, they do gain the 2 gold per second or per 10 seconds now on Relic Shield, which they didn't before. But if you look at some of the supporting items, like you gain Spell Thief or Frostang, you get 15 gold upon attacking someone now. Like they saw a decent increase also in their gold generation, but that does affect the tankier people who are running Relic Shield.
There's another change to the ambient gold. It's called Bailout. After 12 minutes, the 2 members of each team with the least gold at any given moment gain an additional 2 gold per 5 seconds. So supports will also gain additional gold after 12 minutes. Or at least assuming that the support isn't gaining so much gold with Relic Shield without the math, but generally speaking, supports are also getting more gold after 12 minutes than they previously did. So, like you mentioned last week, inflation.
Yeah, this is the inflation Days is talking about. But did support items go? I don't think they increased in cost. I mean, the AP items did.
No, they just changed. Yeah, you have more options.
Right. A lot of the actual like the GP10 items that didn't increase in cost. Some of the like Talisman increased 100, but that's pretty much nothing. Face of the Mountain and Frost Queens didn't, although their actives changed. But some of the other things, like the Mikhails went down a little bit, the Zeeks went up a little bit. It kind of evened out a little bit. I feel like supports have more gold now, but that comes into a whole nother issue with these new support, like the Sightstone upgrades, and then trying to debate whether or not to get your active or your Sightstone upgrade. That's a whole nother issue in terms of item slot efficiency. So that's a thing. But in terms of supports just have more gold now. I'm not a huge fan of the whole ambient gold increase after a certain amount of time, because I feel like if you crush a lane and you stomp someone that bad, you don't want them coming back. But I guess it doesn't matter, because generally it's probably going to be your support and it's probably going to be your jungler in most cases. You'd have to really stomp somebody in lane for them to be down that low.
Likely it's not going to be the jungler, not with the increase in gold you're gaining out of the jungle.
I'd say it's probably going to be jungler.
Yeah, I think later in the game it definitely would be.
Well, it's one person on each team.
Two people.
Two people on each team.
The two people on each team.
Oh, two. Okay.
Oh,
then
So yeah, that's why we're saying
so that's what I'm
jungler would likely be
saying,
the second one on.
Right. I keep losing. This damn patch is too large.
They didn't mess too much with the support item. The support item difference is just that you can only buy either one of the 3 support starting items, and then 3 health pots or the refillable potion now. That's the only real change in terms of starting things.
Starting, yeah. But the fact that now your GP10 can only be changed into either your Sightstone upgrade or your activatable item is a huge decision, because if you don't upgrade your Sightstone, then either you're forced to go Ruby Sightstone or you lose item slot efficiency, because before you always had your GP10 and then you had your Sightstone, and now you can make them one item. So now you can go, do I really want my activatable, or do I want, now that I'm getting so much more gold, do I want to go ahead and get another item? I mean, I lost a game the other day at like 35 minutes and had all 6 slots filled as a support in a losing game. So you have to decide, do I want that extra item, or do I want to go ahead and get like the Frost Queen's Claim? Like, I feel that active is so much better than it was before. And then Face of the Mountain's always been kind of a must-buy. Talisman, if you were going that coin, is a pretty no-brainer buy. It offers a lot of utility. Well, then, are you not going to upgrade your Sightstone? Although I do like the change in the effect you get from the Ruby Sightstone, but it's still, you're sacrificing an item. You have to decide whether or not it's worth it to sacrifice that item slot to keep your Sightstone as a Sightstone and get the activatable.
I think it's going to be like, if you're going to play an activatable kind of champion, like one that's going to run, say Mikhails, Talisman. I'm just throwing random. I'm not thinking of a specific champion. Then I actually kind of really like Ruby Sightstone maybe as a third item after those two, because you're getting that item active cooldowns reduced by 10%. I think that's a big deal. Plus the extra ward, because I've noticed that you're not hurting you're hurting for wards if you buy Sightstone and switch to Sweeper early. Like I've noticed that I'm like, oh crap, I got to remember that I have 1 less ward on my Sightstone now. I mean, if you keep Trinket yellow, you still have 2 more from that. Still only able to place 3 on the map at a time, but yeah, it's so tempting to go with the eye of the blank items and combine your gold efficiency item with the Sightstone just so you can get more of that. But then you're trading out maybe combat stats. There's so many.
You
more
are.
options
That's
now.
the big thing, is you're trading out a major active on your GP10, and you're trading out combat stats because each one of them offer combat stats. And most of the like Eye of the whatever have like passive, like they have base health regen, they have base mana regen, they have things like that instead of the raw stats that you need. And the biggest thing so then is that if you upgrade it, you gain an item slot, which you didn't have before unless you, like a lot of the AP supports last year would go ahead and sell Spell Thief or sell Frostfang and never upgrade Frost Queen's Claim. But usually if you went Talisman or Face the Mountain, like those were almost always upgraded. So now either do you gain the item slot or do you sacrifice another high potential item late in the game?
Well, you aren't necessarily sacrificing just the combat stats, because those stats are, I think, if not exactly the same as the level 2 items, maybe a little bit bumped up. But yeah, you do lose the potential for the activatable. Like that's the only thing you're losing, because you still keep the AP and the regens that you already had on coin are the ones rolled into what you get in Eye of the Oasis. Or I don't know. It's weird because I feel like you never want to upgrade that early because you're not getting slot efficiency. You're getting an extra ward out of it.
Oh, they did give you the same stats.
Yeah, you get the same stats
like ability
from the level
power.
2.
Yeah, but you lose the activatable, which is, I mean, some of those are pretty important in terms of your utility.
I think it's going to be something like, all right, if you're on the fence, maybe you get Sightstone, you get your level 2 support item, and then if you're on the fence still, I'd say you might want to go for a different item, not finishing either. If you're not going to finish the activatable portion, the level 3 support item, don't go for it. And don't go for combining it into an eye item. Go for something else, because you'll probably get more combat stats out of going for something else than just getting one extra ward. I mean, I feel like that, does that make sense? I think that kind of is how I'm thinking about it.
If you have to have an end game, so you have to acknowledge that you're going to either upgrade to the Eye of the Watcher, or you're going to upgrade it to
Make a decision now.
Thing. You just have to acknowledge that you are going to upgrade it, because if you're not going to upgrade it, it's not worth upgrading to the level 2 of anything.
Oh yeah.
Because the level 1s of all the support items kind of suck, and upgrading it to level 2, the level 2 on its own kind of sucks in terms of it takes so long to make itself worthwhile in terms of paying itself off, that it doesn't become worthwhile until you upgrade anyway. So that's why last season a lot of people would go Spell Thief and then never upgrade to Frostfang, because it didn't pay for itself until it was way too late.
Doesn't Targon's pay for itself a little bit? I think it pays for itself real quick.
Targon's is always
you
been
have
an
the
exception.
time. Yeah,
Targon's was the one that you rushed. Yeah, you rushed to get it, and then you get your Sightstone a little bit later. But the other two, especially the Spell Thief, that was more the culprit than anybody. The Spell Thief just didn't pay for itself, especially when you got out of laning phase, because a lot of times on support, so you didn't want to be trying to get that proc off, because you're probably going to die at some point if you were getting
I need my 15 gold.
Right. I've died many times.
Never let that stop me. I need that gold, damn it.
So it's just an interesting decision. I mean, it does help a little bit that you still get like the AP on if you get Eye of the Watchers and things like that, but it's an interesting decision that you have to make in terms of how much is the active worthwhile? Is it worth an item slot as opposed to another?
I feel like for the most part it is. Those actives are really good, but
they got
like
a lot better this season.
I think a lot of it depends on how often you're getting full build, which is a weird concept to me for supports. Like, it's been drilled into my head that supports typically aren't going to get to full build.
Yeah,
but
I mean, it was new to me too. I was like, oh shit, now I have too many items. What happened? And it's only 35 minutes into the game.
Yeah, in that case, you got to plan out your whole build too. You got to figure, it comes down to that last slot. Okay, what's going to be better in this slot? It's going to be Ruby Sightstone, because you do need the wards. Or is it going to be item X, whatever that is?
I like Ruby Sightstone, unless you're going someone who's not going to be using any actives, which are not many supports. I mean, that's if you're playing someone like Brand or something like that. That's really, really Zyra.
Who's selfish.
But yeah, they both play. Vel'Koz too. They all play extremely selfish in their builds, and that's just the way that they play, and that's fine. But they wouldn't benefit at all from this. But in terms of... And in that case, they probably want the extra item slot for more damage. But Ruby Sightstone, that extra active... I mean, there's so much CDR available for supports now too, especially with the Lucidity boots change. And then on top of that, you can still get distortion on top of the Lucidity boots change. Like, you can have your flash up like real quick.
Is there a cap for item cooldowns? I don't know.
I haven't seen
There's nothing
one.
else to stack, is there?
For
There's
what?
masteries.
Is there a
I think
mastery
this is
now?
the only item
I
that does
don't think
that,
that
right?
mastery exists. I don't think there's.
They took it out.
I think
No,
they did.
the mastery is still for they still have a mastery for CDR on your summoner spells. So you can get
but not-
3 different
but not
types.
items.
But not on items, yeah. But
Okay.
you can still get 3 different sources of CDR for your summoner spells
But
now, which is kind of
Is
crazy.
it still bugged where if you pick up Trucidity and the Mastery, you only get 10%? You don't get...
Yeah, I think it's still bugged, but the initial thought behind it was that you're supposed to get 15% from, or 10% from Lucidity, 15% from Distortion, and you can get another 15% from your Masteries.
Yeah, there was a post today about it, so it's probably gonna get fixed very soon, but not yet.
Yeah, that's the only thing that's been stopping me from picking up Boots Lucidity right now on a lot of junglers, is the fact that it overlaps. I'd like to play with it. Fix your shit, Riot. What was the other item that I want to talk about tonight? I was scrolling through the patch notes while you guys were talking about support stuff, trying to figure it out at the same time.
Any info on it? Maybe we can guess it for you.
Oh, you know what we can talk about? I know what we can talk about. Does anyone have link right now to the changes that are coming in patch 5.22 or have already been hot fixed as of today? Does anyone
Wait,
have that link?
5.22?
Yeah,
5.23.
No, 2.2. There was a hot fix today for Graves. It may not have been today, but there's
I
a hot
thought
fix.
it was coming out. I thought it wasn't.
It was the
done
one
yet.
on. It's the one that
today.
came in Korea. I think it came in Korea, but was supposed to come here or hadn't come here yet. I'm pulling up Slack right now.
Yeah, I would just like to. It's in air somewhere.
I
I
posted
got
it
it.
today.
I got it. And this one's
They were
one's
supposed
cool.
to touch Kog'Maw too.
They did.
They
were
touched
supposed
him.
to buff-
They
were supposed to
Link it.
touched his butt real hard.
Link it.
Yeah, Kog'Maw.
Link
Kog'Maw got
it.
his-
I'll link it.
Oh, link
You
it.
can
I
talk.
just click it. I'm like,
can
yeah, I
talk,
clicked
I'll
it.
link
That's
it.
why I'm looking at it. They buffed his base AD by 3, so that's a pretty big deal. And his attack speed went up. Base attack speed bumped up by 0.04, so it bumped from 0.625 to 0.665. Because he was by far the losingest
He had a
AD carry.
39% win rate.
Poor Cargo.
Like, poor Kog'Maw.
Like, that's so horrible. That is-
39 is so bad.
That's the worst I've ever seen, except for like I think like release Tom Kench on support. I think it was pretty bad too.
I do want to mention, I know a lot of people were concerned about whether or not they were going to nerf Yasuo, but they said that they're trying to see if the Bloodlust change kind of fixes him before they actually go in and tweak him.
Yeah, that changes that the Warlord's Bloodlust is the Keystone Mastery that gains you get health recovery and attack speed on crits. It's now only going to work on champions or on champions clones,
Right.
which is kind of like how Fervor of Battle works anyways, or Deathfire Touch.
We talked about
So
that on
it's-
Monday. I thought it had already been hot fixed, but they didn't hot fix it because their patch came out that same day that I talked about. We talked about it on that one on Monday real fast.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a
Right.
big
So
one. I
that's
think.
why they haven't touched Yasuo yet, is because they're waiting to see if that kind of tones him down a little bit.
Yeah, but the Graves change is the other big one, which if you've played against the Graves and if you've gotten hit by his Q at all on the second part of it, does a ton of damage. And he's able to kind of just throw it out at will. Like, it didn't cost very much. And what they did on this hotfix was they dumped the damage off, like really hurt the damage, especially on the secondary portion of it, and up the mana cost significantly, which is gonna hurt when you rank it up early.
They essentially reverted the mana cost to the old Q, where it on live it was 55 to 70. Now it's 60 to 100, going up with 10 with every level. That was like the old Q was the same way. Cooldown's a little longer on new Q. It starts at 14. Old started at 12, so there is that going for you. But the damage was so outrageous that it didn't really matter the cooldown of it.
Yeah.
The other thing, and it shouldn't be completely overlooked, is a small change, but his movement speed went down a little bit. Considering how short range he is now, that's pretty big in terms of him getting to you
That was
in
my
order
biggest
to make
complaint
that
with him.
happen.
When I was playing Graves, I had a bitch of a time just getting to the team fight. The team fight would be over by the time I got there. Like, hey guys, I'm ready to help, and then like my team already killed everybody. I was like, okay, I'll go attack the minions.
Good job,
Go ahead.
guys. Look at my
Hooray,
wave clear.
go
Check this
team.
out.
It allows you to kite him a little bit more. And ranged people have always had lower attack speed than melees, but this allows him to have a lower attack speed than the higher range. So that even though he can burst you down, if you're able to kite him out of a fight, then you have a better chance of, getting some pressure off of him where he has to retreat and not, smack you in the face.
Movement speed makes me sad, but the Q nerfs are totally justified. Like you were saying, Mitch, you could spam Q all day in lane. It really didn't dent your mana. And I never really witnessed the power before the last time I played him. Which were you the support in that game with me?
I might have been. I don't know what your history is, man.
No, you weren't. It was somebody else. But so it was Graves. I was Graves, and my partner was Thresh, and we're going against Sona Caitlyn, and I was preparing to have a bitch of a time because that is not a fun lane to be in, especially with the short range Graves. Except I threw out a random Q once, and it just randomly first blooded Caitlyn because it did so much damage on the back turn.
Yep.
It was insane. Like you're not ready for that much damage, especially that was rank 2. That was 2 points in the Q, and it did 25% of her health. That shouldn't happen.
Yeah, I think it's nice that that mana cost for an ability that was spammable did way too much damage, whereas like Caitlyn Q or like Ezreal Q, which you can throw out way more often, don't deal nearly as much damage. So you were kind of just able to say, well, let's just see if this works, and if it hit once, you've won lane for a while because it's awesome. But that wall damage, I love that. I love that you have the ability to like immediately get both parts of the damage off if you hit it near a wall. Like that's so. I just played Graves for the first time the other day, and it was really cool.
It is a really cool mechanic. It's a lot of
PvE.
damage really fast.
I didn't because guess how quickly people can click faster than me to pick him on blind pick. It was faster.
The first time I played him, I tried to shoot through the wall because I was still used to old Graves.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I tried that once too. Try to Q through the wall.
Vayne is really strong right now for anyone who hasn't played her. Not as strong as Graves was, but then again, she didn't just get hotfixed.
I had read that the rapid fire cannon static shiv interaction is not supposed to be unique. Is that true? That may
It's
not
supposed
been-
to be unique, or it is.
Or it's supposed to be unique. Sorry.
I didn't read that
And
anywhere.
it's not now.
I haven't seen that.
I didn't
yet.
read like a red post or nothing.
Is that the
said
intent or something?
It may have just been one of those like offhanded Reddit comments or something.
It could be the intent, and they'll have to fix it later. Because I mean,
Did
it
you
is
guys-
really strong when you stack them.
Did you guys talk about? I don't know if this was available by Monday. The Thunderlord's Decree hotfix also, because that was something that I think some people didn't see ever because not a lot of people have been using it yet. But that's the keystone where if you hit somebody 3 times with spells or autos in quick succession, you'll get a burst of damage on them in an AOE.
No, we talked about that.
Yeah, it's
No,
really
not
good.
we
about
talked
the
about it, but, no,
hotfix.
but the issue
Yeah,
was that if multiple people had it, they couldn't proc it. Like only one person could proc it, which was really weird. So like if you had 5 people that were all expecting to get all their damage off because they each get one of those, it wouldn't work. And so they are fixing that. So now everyone can individually proc it, which is kind of obviously what's supposed to happen. It's not supposed to be like, well, guys, we got to think of who's going to take Thunderlord so that we can use it properly. So that's a nice fix because that was a really dumb interaction, but on a mastery that already wasn't being picked very much. So I want to see if people will think about it more now.
Well, they're also on the PBE. They're also lowering the cooldown to 20 seconds. I think it's pretty good. It's actually not bad. Especially, I like it on Jax a lot.
Oh God, I didn't see the Bond of Stone mastery change. Oh my gosh, that's the
Well, that's
the
on PBE. That's not on the new patch coming out.
Okay, well, that's what he was talking about was the PBE. So I was just say they're dropping it from 4 to 2% base damage reduction, but still staying at 8% when there's an allied champion nearby.
Which is, it makes me sad because that just further lowers the chance that the game will not snowball. Because right now
this means that only supports will take it.
Well,
really.
I know, but like that was like the saving grace to stop the snowballing in a game outside of changing towers and stuff.
It was too. They can't leave it alone. It was too strong.
No, you could just tanks. You could play tanks to stop the snowball of people picking up stuff. There's counterplay there.
Although according to Dom, he felt like he might have been dying so fast because of that mastery.
Nah, I never felt that way. Never once.
Yeah, but that doesn't affect you if you're playing at support. Like that doesn't really change it. almost at all.
I know, but I'm just putting it out. I don't ever think I was dying. I think Dom was just taking a lot of poke.
I know I played Mundo a couple times, and I got to 6 items one game, and I did not have Bond of Stone, and I still got ripped through like as if I was a marksman.
Well, yeah, if Lord Dominic's Lord Dominus is going to just destroy you. Well, they haven't built up the tanky items. Well, they kind of did tanky items a little bit, but not like full tank items. They did the bruiser items, they did the AP items, and they did the marksman items. They haven't done
not bruiser
tank.
juggernauts.
Whatever. How much? Guess
Too
how
many
much
syllables in Juggernaut. Come on, Riot.
It's only 3 syllables. It's not
maybe that's what they'll fix
Jugs.
next.
Jugs.
2 jugs.
They did the jugs.
That's we already talked about the marksman.
Well,
items.
technically, the Juggernauts are only those 4 champions, right?
The ones that are
Technically.
it's technically.
Really?
And they
I thought it was more than that.
buffed a lot of bruiser champions, like flat out
Trundle.
bruiser champions.
Should be a Juggernaut. I think I don't know if
Like
Shyvana
when
is
you
considered
talk
one or
about
not.
people like Jax and his itemization right now, like
Now, a Juggernaut by definition is somebody that is tanky, does damage, but doesn't have any
right.
hops or
Volibear,
jumps.
Juggernaut.
They have movement speed. They can have movement speed increases, like Skarner with his W or Volibear, but they don't have any kind of like quick movement. So that's something I'd have to find it. It's a really old Ask FM from Ghostcrawler where he explained what a Juggernaut exactly was. But that's this essential is they're tanky, they can do damage, and they don't have a ton of mobility.
What's their classification for Jax?
Oh, here.
Fighter?
Gamma brings up a really good point that I forgot when
Oh,
you're talking about
yeah,
support
I think you're right.
items. But now that they took off where you had True Sight or whatever during with your oracles, essentially the oracles effect. Now as a support, you pretty much have to have a pink. You can't have your trinket reveal invisible champion. So if you're going up against an Eve or a Rengar or a Vayne, you have to have a pink on you. You don't have the option to save your sweeper for that opportunity. And you need at least... Right. You can't have... Normally, you'd have a couple of them. Your jungler would have an upgraded sweeper. You'd have an upgraded sweeper or something like that. Now, not only do you have the choice with that, but now you have to dedicate an item slot strictly to pinks if you're against that enemy champion like that.
Leaning you more towards the eyes, I guess, if that's the case. The eye items.
I don't understand why they took that off, to be honest with you, other than the fact that there's less vision, so they want to give you a way to... No, that doesn't even make sense.
Probably because they upgrade... Because Oracle's now is this... What the hell is it? Not even Oracle. Is it Oracle Sweeper or whatever? Oracle Eye? The one that follows you. That's probably why they took it off, because it follows you, and you can't just do an area.
Yeah, it's... Wait, it says...
Pink
Okay,
Ward's
it
better
says...
than the old one anyways.
I do like pink wards better, but if you're late game as a support and you have to have one slot dedicated to a 75 gold item, that gets really old really quick.
Especially you just can't stack them either.
But pretty much everybody should be dedicating one slot to wards for a majority of the game, because they're 75 gold right now. So you could... I found myself with 2 pinks on me before.
Well, I usually have 2 pinks on me as support but when you get to late game and you have to make that decision, and you used to be able to have an oracles, I don't know. I don't like the change, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of it either. Of the fact, but I think it's because of the Oracle change where it does follow you now, and you can upgrade it to do that rather than just sweep an area, which is really nice.
I think I would rather just have it sweep the area, because the eye used to follow you anyway. Even though the whole homing thing, you used to have that vision anyway. So I'd rather have it just give you the true sight.
I think they're forcing people to buy more wards is the issue. Is what they're trying to get more people to buy vision wards, because they know that people at high elos are already going to do it. I think they're trying to make it so other people will get more wards from the new warding totem automatically upgrading, and then kind of saying, hey, here's some pink wards are even cheaper now. They cost the same as the old green ones. Do it.
Buy one. Put it in top lane.
I think those people are more
it
prone to just
somewhere.
complain about the invisible mechanic. How do you counterplay this?
Yeah.
There's no counterplay to invis. OMG.
Evelyn is
There's
bad.
wards
Don't
there.
play
To
her.
it, I just feel like they removed an option for that.
Well, we could talk about that next time, because I think that conversation is slowly going the way of the invisible champions. As in, it's lame, and I don't want to talk about it anymore.
You're lame.
No, I think it's a good point to talk about, but I also think it's about time to slowly wrap up this podcast. Anything anyone else wants to talk about before I jump into some other stuff?
No, but that hour went really fast.
It sure did.
It did.
Well, speaking of hours going by fast, if you guys have been enjoying all of the content we are pushing out and you want to help support us and listen to more hours of podcasting, including other podcasts, I have multiple ways for you to do that. First and foremost, we are now doing a new special offer with GameFly. So you guys out there in the preseason who may not enjoy playing League of Legends, would rather listen to us talk about it before like the game kind of levels out. You want to go play, I don't know, Fallout 4 or Battlefront, the new Star Wars Battlefront comes out this next week. You guys can go sign up for GameFly at gameflyoffer.com/TFN. And you guys can go out there and you can sign up for this free trial. There's no contracts, no nothing. You get this free 30 days. You can try 2 games at a time by having that out with you. After that, hold on. GameFly talking points. I almost didn't have it up. You have 2 plans. You can either have 1 disc a month at $15.95, or you can have 2 discs at $22.95. So you can and you can keep those discs as long as you want, as long as you are paying the monthly fee. But with a special offer at gameflyoffer.com/TFN, you get 1 month free. You can have 2 games out during that 30-day trial, so you can do Fallout 4 and Battlefront if you wanted, or you can do anything. I mean, they have PS3, Vita, Wii U, Wii, 3DS, Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS4, etc. Huge game library. And again, you're supporting us by going out there and signing up for it. So guys, please go check that out at gameflyoffer.com/TFN. We'd really appreciate it because we are gearing up for PAX East. We have rented out our hotel rooms as of today. So even if we're not out there as exhibitors, we will be out there as press, at least some of us. I think we have a majority of us will be out there as press if all else fails. But we need to get as much funds as we can so we can pay for as many flights as we can so we can go out there and give you as much coverage of PAX on the new website. And speaking to that, like I said, we're doing a fundraiser, or you can go to patreon.com/TForce Network and sign up. $10 a month gives you Champion Select podcast. So we'll be talking about Lysandra this month, and we have one more in the pipeline. Days and Serial are just hear about this now, but I think I have somebody else for that as well.
I think I might have one too.
Well, beautiful. We can knock out a couple
nice.
of them. Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, the guys go check that out. And you get all of the backs. You get all the back months. There's Soraka, Rengar, Morgana. There's a ton of them. Corki, Latman's been on there how many times? 3 times now, talking about champions.
Only 2.
I think.
Only
2.
Twice, yeah.
Oh, that's right.
He
Olaf
wants to
and
come
Corki.
back though.
Does he?
Ola.
Yay!
Did he do Olaf? No. Which one did?
Oh.
Shin did Ola.
He did Callista
That's it,
and Mordekaiser hybrid episode.
I can never remember. We've had so many damn guests. This thing's been going on forever. But yeah, if you guys can check out patreon.com/TForce Network, it's only $10 a month. You get two extra hours a month of podcasting. It's really, really good. If you haven't seen all the reviews for it that have come out on Twitter and we've posted on Facebook and whatnot, you're missing out. And you pay $10 to us once, you'll get them all. Then you can decide if you want to keep supporting us. Anybody who's out there with the $25 option for the replays, I'm going to send out an email about this, but because of the new patch, we are going to forever honor that 1 month of replay. Normally, we only honor 2 months, like the past month and the month you paid for. But because of this month, if you didn't use it and it's 3 months down the line, you want to use it, we will make sure you get it taken care of. Just because it was such a weird month that we want to make sure you get your money's worth, right? So if you paid in October or on 11/1 and you're one of our already subscribers, you've got a free pass whenever you want it. I'll send an email about that too. I know a lot of you guys listen, especially the ones doing that. So that's pretty much it. Patreon.com/TForce Network, GameFlyOffer.com/TFN, and my camera just decided to take a shit on me.
Yes,
Don't forget to send those replays in. I know people get caught up in stuff, but we have a lot of fun reviewing them, so send them in to us.
Yes, please do that. That's it, guys. You can check us out over at TrinityForceNetwork.com. And I like I said, the 1,000th person to sign up on the T-Force Network subreddit will get $10 in RP. I don't care if somebody unsubscribes and resubscribes to do it. If there's like a fight over the 1,000th, but just take a screenshot of it if it makes it there. We're almost there. I think we're 200 people away, and you guys can do it. So go sign up. That's it. That's episode 312. Serial, thank you for coming on and filling in for Chira tonight.
Of course.
He waved.
Thank
See you guys.
See you.
Everybody.